The alien city was quiet, almost too quiet for a place that usually hummed with life. High towers of silver and glass shone under the twin suns, but today there was a shadow over the great palace. Inside, the alien emperor lay on his bed, still and pale. His usual energy, the power that had led countless stars and planets, was gone. For the first time in history, the emperor could not rise on his own. Alien doctors gathered in the grand chamber, their bright robes flowing behind them as they whispered urgently. They examined every part of his body, ran tests, and used machines no human could even imagine. They called for readings from across the galaxy, yet nothing seemed to help. The emperor's condition puzzled them. Even with their most advanced tools, they could not find the cause, let alone a cure. News of the emperor's illness spread quickly. Citizens paused in the streets, workers stopped their machines, and traders left their stalls. The people of the empire, who had always depended on the emperor's wisdom, now faced fear and uncertainty. Without him, the empire could falter. The thought of a powerless ruler terrified even the bravest warriors. Far away from this chaos, a human woman named Sarah arrived on the planet. She was a single mother, traveling with her young son, carrying only her knowledge and determination. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy, and many aliens looked at her with curiosity and doubt. How could a simple human woman help when the greatest alien doctors had failed? But Sarah did not mind. She had faced impossible challenges before and trusted her instincts. She was brought to the palace quietly. The hallways were wide and glowing with light, and the walls were decorated with strange patterns that moved softly like living art. The emperor's chamber was enormous, and Sarah felt small as she stepped inside. She could see the emperor lying there, his alien skin pale and shimmering under the lights. His eyes, usually bright and full of command, were half closed. He looked fragile, almost like a child. Sarah did not rush. She observed quietly, noticing small details the doctors overlooked. The emperor's breathing was shallow, and his hands trembled slightly whenever he tried to move. Machines beeped and whirred, showing numbers that the doctors focused on, but Sarah focused on the emperor himself. She saw the little movements, the subtle flicks of his eyes, and the tiny reactions to touch. Something about his illness felt familiar to her, not like anything the machines could detect, but something she could understand with patience. The doctors frowned at her. They whispered, questioning why this human woman was even there. "She cannot help," one said. "She does not know alien medicine." Another added, "She is just a mother, not a healer." Sarah ignored them. She had learned long ago that knowledge alone was not enough. Observation, care, and understanding could reveal truths that machines could miss. She knelt near the emperor's bed and spoke softly. Her voice was calm, gentle, and not demanding. "Can you tell me what hurts?" she asked, even though she knew the emperor might not answer. The emperor's eyes flickered open slightly, just enough for her to see the faint recognition. It was as if he understood that she would not harm him. He tried to speak, but only a whisper came out. Sarah listened carefully, noting every sound, every pause. Days passed. The alien doctors continued their tests, their frustration growing, while Sarah quietly observed and recorded what she saw. She noticed patterns, times when the emperor seemed a little stronger, moments when his breathing improved, and small reactions to light touches or sounds. She shared her observations with the head doctor, but he shook his head. "It is not possible," he said. "We cannot treat him this way." But Sarah did not give up. She understood something important. Technology could measure and calculate, but it could not heal everything. Some things required patience, empathy, and human understanding. She began thinking of ways to help the emperor without machines or pills. Every day she watched him, spoke to him, and learned from him. One evening, as the twin suns set, Sarah noticed the emperor's hand twitch. It was a tiny movement, but it was enough to make her heart race. This was a sign, a small sign, that he could still respond. Perhaps, she thought, there was a way after all. Perhaps a human touch, a human care, could reach where the most advanced alien medicine could not. The palace grew quiet again that night, but a spark of hope had been lit. Sarah believed she could help even when no one else did. She did not yet know how, but she knew that humans had a way of doing the impossible, and this emperor might just be the next impossible challenge she could overcome. And so, while the alien doctors despaired, the human single mother prepared to begin her work, quietly, patiently, and with all the courage she could gather. The emperor's fate was uncertain, but hope had returned, carried by the most unlikely healer in the galaxy. Sarah spent the next few days observing the emperor closely. She noticed small things the alien doctors ignored. The emperor's breathing changed slightly when he listened to soft sounds. His eyes followed gentle movements in the room, but the doctors only watched the machines. Sarah knew the machines could not tell the whole story. The Emperor was not just a body, he was a being with feelings, reactions, and instincts that machines could not measure. She spoke softly to him each day. "Hello, Emperor," she said. "I am Sarah. I am here to help." At first he barely responded. His eyelids flickered and he made small sounds, but he did not speak. Sarah did not push him. She understood that trust could not be forced. Each day she was patient, giving him time to respond in his own way. The alien doctors watched her with doubt. They whispered to each other, shaking their heads. "She cannot help," one said. "She is human. She does not know alien medicine." Another added, "We have the knowledge of 1,000 worlds and she only has human experience. It is impossible for her to heal the Emperor." Sarah ignored them. She had learned long ago that intelligence was not the only key to solving problems. Observation, patience, and understanding could reveal solutions that knowledge alone could not. Sarah began to notice patterns in the Emperor's reactions. He seemed calmer when she spoke gently and moved slowly. His breathing was steadier when sunlight from the twin suns touched his face through the large windows. She noted every small detail in a notebook she kept, writing observations in simple language. The doctors laughed at her careful notes, but she did not mind. She believed that small things could make a big difference. One morning she tried something new. She placed her hand lightly on the Emperor's arm and spoke softly. He flinched at first, but then his muscles relaxed. Sarah smiled. She realized that even a small human touch could help him feel safe. She repeated this every day, letting him become familiar with her presence. Slowly the Emperor began to respond more. His eyes opened wider, and he made small sounds that seemed like attempts at communication. Sarah also noticed the Emperor reacted to simple objects in the room. A small glowing crystal made him focus and calm down. A soft cloth brought a slight smile to his lips. The human woman realized that aliens might be used to advanced technology, but sometimes simple things mattered more. She began arranging the room with objects that could comfort him, giving him small experiences that encouraged his body to respond naturally. The alien doctors continued to watch skeptically. "This is ridiculous," one said. "We have tried everything. She is wasting time." Sarah did not argue. She knew results could only come from careful work, not arguments. She continued her quiet study, listening to every sound, watching every movement, and noting how the Emperor reacted. Each observation gave her new ideas. Over time, the Emperor's responses grew stronger. He could lift his head slightly when Sarah spoke to him. He turned his eyes to follow her movements in the room. For the first time in weeks, he seemed aware of the world around him. Sarah knew that healing was not just about medicine. It was about connection, trust, and understanding. She was beginning to understand the Emperor in ways the alien doctors could not. Sarah began to experiment with gentle exercises. Simple stretches and slow movements helped the Emperor regain small amounts of strength. She guided him carefully, always watching his reactions. The alien doctors were shocked. They had not thought that such simple methods could work. But Sarah knew that the body and mind were connected. Healing came from care, not just machines and medicine. She also talked to the Emperor about his memories. She encouraged him to think about past achievements, happy moments, and the lives he had touched. The Emperor responded with small gestures, showing that even his mind could help his body recover. Sarah realized that empathy and emotional support were just as important as physical treatment. Day by day the Emperor grew stronger. Sarah's careful observations, patience, and human perspective made the impossible seem possible. The alien doctors began to see small changes they could not explain. The machines still showed unusual readings, but the Emperor's body was responding in ways that mattered more than any number. One evening, the Emperor moved his hand towards Sarah. It was a small movement, but it carried meaning. He trusted her and he wanted her help. Sarah felt a surge of hope. She knew that if she continued with patience, care, and understanding, she could help him fully recover. The palace was still quiet, but a small spark of hope had grown into something brighter. Sarah, the human single mother, had shown that observation, empathy, and determination could do what machines and advanced knowledge could not. The Emperor's recovery had begun, and the galaxy would soon see that humans could achieve the impossible. Sarah smiled quietly to herself. She knew the journey was not over, but she was ready. She had a plan, and the Emperor had given her his trust. The impossible was no longer a dream. It was becoming reality. Sarah watched the Emperor every day, learning more about his reactions and small movements. She realized that the key to healing was not in complicated machines or alien medicine, but in helping him use his own strength. The Emperor's body had the ability to recover, but it needed guidance, care, and encouragement. Sarah knew she could give that guidance. The alien doctors were still doubtful. They gathered in the palace chambers every morning, discussing the Emperor's condition in low voices. "She cannot succeed," one said. "We have the knowledge of 1,000 worlds, yet this human seems to do better than we do." Another replied, "It is impossible that her simple methods could restore him." Sarah did not respond. She had learned that actions spoke louder than words. Sarah began the next stage of her plan. She prepared small exercises for the Emperor, gentle movements that would not strain him but would encourage his muscles to respond. She guided his arms and legs slowly, speaking softly the entire time. "We are just waking your body," she said. "Step by step we will get stronger." At first the Emperor struggled, his muscles weak and unresponsive. But Sarah was patient. Every day he could lift an arm a little higher or turn his head a little more. She also focused on his mind. Sarah knew that the Emperor had always been a leader, wise and strong. His mind had guided an empire, and now it could guide his body. She spoke to him about his past accomplishments, the people he had helped, and the planets he had protected. At first he could only listen, but soon he responded with small movements, like nods or twitches of his fingers. Sarah smiled. Mental strength was as important as physical strength. To help the Emperor fully, Sarah used simple human techniques she had learned as a mother. She applied gentle pressure to certain points on his body, helped him breathe deeply, and encouraged him to move in ways that felt natural. The alien doctors watched in shock. "It cannot work," one said quietly. "Yet it is working." Every day the Emperor's movements became stronger, and his breathing grew steadier. Sarah also noticed the importance of environment. The Emperor responded well to light and soft sounds. She brought small glowing crystals into the room, played gentle music, and adjusted the sunlight to fall across his body in a calming way. The Emperor's skin, once pale and dull, began to shine with a faint glow, showing signs of life returning. It was slow but steady progress. One afternoon the Emperor surprised everyone. He lifted his hand without Sarah helping him. The doctors gasped. Machines showed strange readings, but it did not matter. The Emperor had moved on his own. Sarah knelt beside him, her heart racing. "You did it," she whispered. "You are stronger now." The Emperor's eyes met hers, full of recognition and trust. For the first time in weeks he seemed alive, aware and hopeful. Sarah continued her work, guiding him through more movements each day. She encouraged him to sit up, then stand, always careful not to push too fast. The alien doctors started to take notes, studying her methods. They began to understand that human empathy and observation were as powerful as technology. Sarah did not boast. She focused on the Emperor, knowing that every small step was important. The Emperor began to communicate in his own way. Small gestures, eye movements, and sounds showed that he understood Sarah and was cooperating. She responded with gentle words of encouragement. "We are a team," she said. "Together we will recover." The bond between human and alien grew stronger each day, showing the palace that trust and care could achieve what machines could not. By the end of the week, the Emperor could sit up fully, supported by cushions and Sarah's careful guidance. He could lift his arms, move his head, and even speak a few words. The alien doctors stared in disbelief. "How is this possible?" one whispered. "A human with no advanced medicine has healed the Emperor where we failed." Sarah smiled quietly. She had always believed that humans could do the impossible, and now she had proof. The Emperor's recovery continued slowly but surely. Each day brought small victories, lifting a hand, turning a head, responding to sound. The palace, once silent with fear, now buzzed with hope. Sarah's simple care, empathy, and determination had achieved what no machine, no doctor, and no advanced technology could. One evening as the twin suns set, the Emperor took Sarah's hand in his own. It was a small gesture, but it carried immense meaning. He trusted her completely, and he had regained the strength to lead again. Sarah realized that humans had a gift that no technology could replace. The ability to care, to observe, and to connect in ways that healed more than just the body. The Emperor smiled faintly, the first true smile in weeks. Sarah knew that the impossible had been done. The Emperor was on the path to full recovery, and humans had once again shown that they could achieve extraordinary things in a universe that often underestimated them. The palace was quiet that night, but hope filled the air. Sarah sat by the Emperor's side, ready for the next step. The impossible cure had begun, and soon the Emperor would rise fully, stronger than ever before. The Emperor was no longer weak. Each day he regained a little more strength, and each movement showed the palace that he could recover. The alien doctors watched closely, still confused but slowly accepting the truth. Sarah's methods, her patience and her care had worked. She had done what no alien technology or medicine could do. Word of the Emperor's recovery spread quickly through the Empire. Citizens were amazed and hopeful. They had feared for their leader, but now hope returned. People whispered about the human woman who had healed the Emperor, a single mother from a distant planet. Many could not believe it at first. How can a human succeed where thousands of our best doctors failed? They asked. Yet the results were undeniable. The Emperor himself began to show signs of appreciation. He could sit upright fully now, and his voice, once weak and trembling, was stronger. He summoned Sarah to sit beside him. The palace chamber, once tense and quiet, now filled with light and calm. He looked at her carefully, and for the first time he spoke clearly. "You have done what no one else could," he said, his voice full of respect. "You have healed me when the galaxy believed it impossible." Sarah smiled softly. She did not expect praise. She had only wanted to help. But hearing these words from the Emperor made her heart warm. She realized that humans, with their empathy, patience and understanding, could bring value in ways the most advanced civilizations sometimes overlooked. The alien doctors approached slowly. They bowed deeply, their pride humbled. "We were wrong," said the head doctor. "Your care has saved the Emperor. We cannot explain how, but it is clear that your approach works." Another added, "Your human perspective has shown us something we did not understand. We owe you gratitude." Sarah nodded politely. She did not feel pride in the way the aliens might have expected. For her, the reward was seeing the Emperor recover and knowing she had done the right thing. The Emperor invited the doctors and citizens to witness his full recovery. He stood carefully, supported at first by Sarah, and then gradually on his own. His movements were smooth, his posture proud, and his voice clear. The people of the Empire gasped in admiration. The once ailing ruler now radiated strength and wisdom again. Sarah watched quietly, knowing that her small human actions had made a big difference. A ceremony was arranged to honor Sarah. It was unlike anything she had seen before. Aliens from across the Empire gathered, their colorful robes and glowing ornaments reflecting the light of the twin suns. The Emperor spoke of her courage, patience, and care, emphasizing that humans could achieve what even the most advanced alien technology could not. "Her heart, mind, and hands have healed me," he said. "She has proven that humanity is remarkable in ways we never imagined." Sarah felt a mix of emotions. She was proud, but she also felt humbled. She had never imagined that her simple human ways, observation, care, and patience, could have such a profound impact on an entire empire. People began to approach her, offering thanks, admiration, and friendship. She realized that humans were respected not just for their strength, but for their ability to connect, to understand, and to act with compassion. The Emperor spoke privately to Sarah afterward. "Your presence here has changed not only my life but the view of humans in this galaxy. They will now see that humans are capable of extraordinary things." Sarah nodded. She thought of her son and how she had always taught him that even ordinary people could do great things if they were brave and patient. Now she had lived that lesson herself. Even the alien doctors began to change. They studied Sarah's methods, asking questions about why the Emperor had responded to her care. They realized that sometimes, the simplest, gentlest approaches could accomplish what complex technology could not. They began to incorporate empathy and observation into their own practices. Sarah had not only healed the Emperor but had also taught the Empire a valuable lesson. Humans were different, and sometimes different was extraordinary. Citizens continued to speak of Sarah long after the Emperor had fully recovered. Songs and stories celebrated her courage and patience. The tale of a human single mother healing the most powerful alien ruler spread across planets, inspiring others to believe in human potential. Sarah herself remained humble, always crediting the Emperor's strength and her belief in small, careful actions. The Emperor invited Sarah to stay as an honored guest and advisor. She could continue to share human knowledge and care, bridging the gap between human and alien cultures. She accepted, realizing that this was not just a reward but an opportunity to show the galaxy that humans could achieve the impossible. As the sun set over the palace towers, Sarah looked at the Emperor and the empire she had helped heal. She felt a deep sense of purpose and hope. Humans were not just survivors, they were problem solvers, caregivers, and thinkers capable of extraordinary feats. The impossible cure had proven that humanity could shine in ways even the most advanced civilizations could not predict. That night, the palace was quiet but full of respect and admiration. Sarah knew the journey was not over, but she had earned her place among the stars. The Emperor had recovered, the Empire was stable, and humans had proven once again that their qualities, empathy, patience, courage, could change the galaxy in ways no one had ever imagined. The Emperor was fully recovered. His strength had returned, his voice was clear, and his presence filled the palace with calm and confidence once more. The Empire was alive with energy and hope. Citizens moved through the streets smiling, merchants opened their stalls, and children played under the twin suns. The threat of the Emperor's sickness was gone, and the Empire thrived once again. Sarah stood quietly in the grand palace chamber, watching the Emperor interact with his advisors and citizens. She had done what no one thought possible. She had healed a being who was considered untouchable by even the most advanced science in the galaxy. And yet, she felt no pride, only quiet satisfaction. Her reward was seeing life return to the palace and the Empire. The Emperor called Sarah to his side. He spoke softly but with authority, his eyes full of gratitude. "You have done more than heal me," he said. "You have shown our people, and me, that there is a strength in humans that cannot be measured by technology or knowledge alone. Your courage, patience, and care have changed our view of humanity forever." Sarah nodded, feeling her heart warm. She remembered the long days and nights she had spent observing, speaking softly, and encouraging him. She had not used alien machines or medicine. Instead, she had relied on human qualities that the aliens had often overlooked: empathy, patience, creativity, and determination. Her single human perspective had made the impossible real. The Emperor decided to honor Sarah in a way that would leave a lasting impact on the Empire. He held a ceremony in the palace courtyard, where thousands of aliens gathered to witness it. The ceremony was full of light and music, with the twin suns reflecting off the palace towers. The Emperor spoke to the crowd, describing Sarah's role in his recovery. "She has taught us that intelligence alone is not enough," he said. "Care, understanding, and determination are equally powerful. Humans possess these qualities and we are wiser for knowing them." Citizens cheered. Stories about Sarah spread quickly across the Empire. Aliens from distant planets spoke of the human single mother who had healed the Emperor when no one else could. Children listened to the stories with wide eyes, inspired by her courage. Even the alien doctors, once skeptical, now studied her methods carefully, realizing that the simplest approaches could sometimes achieve the greatest results. Sarah was invited to remain in the palace as an honored guest and advisor. She accepted, knowing she could use her knowledge to help others. Her days became filled with teaching and guiding, showing aliens how small, careful actions and empathy could make a big difference. She also shared stories of Earth and human life, bridging the gap between species and inspiring hope and collaboration. Her son watched her with pride. He had accompanied her to this distant planet and had seen his mother achieve what seemed impossible. He learned that humans could face challenges with courage and creativity, that empathy was powerful, and that determination could change even the course of an empire. Sarah smiled at him, proud not only of her work but of the lessons she had passed on. The Emperor often spoke to Sarah privately, asking her advice on decisions for the Empire. He valued her insights not because she was human, but because she had proven wisdom in unexpected ways. Her perspective offered solutions that no alien had considered. Slowly, the Empire began to adapt some of her ideas, showing that humans could bring innovation not through machines or advanced technology, but through understanding and thoughtfulness. As time passed, Sarah realized that her journey was about more than healing the Emperor. It was about showing that humans could make a difference anywhere, even in a galaxy filled with advanced civilizations. Her actions inspired aliens to rethink their assumptions, and humans began to gain respect as beings capable of extraordinary achievements. One evening, as the twin suns set and painted the palace towers in golden light, Sarah stood beside the Emperor on a balcony overlooking the city. The streets were alive with celebration, laughter, and hope. She felt a deep sense of peace. The impossible had been achieved, not through power or technology, but through qualities that humans had always possessed. The Emperor turned to her and said, "The galaxy has learned that humans are not ordinary. You have reminded us that the smallest actions, when done with care and courage, can change the world." Sarah smiled, understanding that her journey had not only healed an emperor but had also reshaped the way an entire empire viewed humanity. As the night fell, Sarah thought about the future. She would continue to teach, to care, and to inspire. She knew that humans, even a single mother from a distant world, could achieve remarkable things. And in doing so, she had shown that hope, patience, and determination were universal strengths, capable of bridging planets, species, and civilizations. The Empire would never forget Sarah. The Emperor had recovered, the people were inspired, and humans had earned a place of honor in the galaxy. A single human mother had done the impossible, and her story would be remembered for generations. Sarah looked at the stars above and knew that this was only the beginning. Humanity had shown its strength and the galaxy had taken notice. From that day forward, humans were no longer seen as ordinary, they were beings capable of extraordinary deeds. And Sarah, a single mother, had proven it to the entire universe.